Okay, we're just beginning this new switchgrass field, and this isn't under ideal conditions. Typically when we're frost seeding switchgrass, which is what we're doing, we're not drilling, we're not disking, tilling. We're basically applying and broadcasting that switchgrass seed on top of the soil and allowing the frosts and freezes and rain and sun and baking and drying and then frost freezing, that whole process to take place to allow that seed to be pulled into the soil and then germinate when the soil temperature hits 55 degrees. Now what we're doing now, I put that seed in about a month ago. We're mid-April. Ideally that seed should have gone in the ground the end of February, and then we would have sprayed simazine in March. Simazine is a pre-emergent, and by spraying that we're taking care of any of the weeds that are going to come forward. So we're hoping that switchgrass can germinate and then grow into a non-competitive environment. So it's really just on its own. It can take off. It's not being shaded out, competed with grasses and weeds and broadleaves. Now the one thing, we're a little late. We're a little bit behind, and as you can see behind me, there's a lot of green. And so what we're doing today is we're applying a lethal mix of glyphosate, which is a post-emergent. So it's going to kill those weeds after they emerge and after they grow and come up. And then we're applying the simazine too. So any weeds that are going to come up, we're killing them. Any weeds that are already there, we're going to take care of them too. And so the only bad thing about that is, now I've checked, it didn't appear that any of the switchgrass has germinated yet. And so we don't have to worry about that. But at the same time, I'd rather get that whole frost seeding process down to where you're frost seeding in the Midwest in February and then spraying simazine in March. Now simazine will soak into the soil and it'll take care of those weeds that are going to come. The great thing about simazine is it's pretty effective. It's out of the ground in about 60 days, so you don't have to worry about subsequent late summer plantings. But we're at that point right now where we're kind of teetering on. Hopefully we get a good soil adhesion with the seed, and that we can get great germination rates. But we're really teetering on that line of not getting it out early enough and then not being able to control those weeds when they come up. So we're hoping to show you more switchgrass seed throughout the summertime and more growth in the switchgrass, and we'll get back with you. Now here we are 2 years later with our switchgrass planting. We had some great growth with that frost seeding that we did 2 years ago. And as you can see behind me, this one's had 3 full years of growing now. And with that frost seeding, we had a great hold and we had a great catch. Now the problem with that is we actually frost seeded this entire line in 2016, but the person that we had working up the fields didn't realize we had switchgrass here, worked up the fields, worked up the switchgrass. So we have about 8 or 10 pieces of switchgrass left here, and this is one of them. This is grown from a single seed, and you can see this bunch right here, and it's amazing. It's taken off really well. So right here we drilled the switchgrass. This is 2-year-old grass, and you can see what it's going to be like at 3 years. This is, I don't know, I think there's some sprigs in here that are close to 8 feet tall. So awesome growth. And frost seeding, no-till drilling, both work the same. They'll end up the same results in the end. Of course, frost seeding is a lot cheaper. Now the frost seeding process, what I encourage you to do is you take soil into the wintertime. So on ag fields that you're converting over to switchgrass bedding or diversity pockets in bedding, then you're putting soil, you already have that soil in that ag land. It's been chemically controlled with beans or corn that might be on it. And you're taking that soil into the fall. Now it might be that you're working up your fields and you're just tilling and disking before the fall, maybe even in August, September, practicing weed control, and you have that exposed soil. I encourage you to frost seed 8 to 10 pounds per acre. You're just spreading that right on top of the soil anytime between October 1st and March 1st in most locations. That seed's going to get in the soil. It's going to go through numerous frosts and freezes, and then it's going to have great germination rates. You get great moisture going into the spring. Your switchgrass is already set, ready to go and explode. Probably won't germinate till about early June. It germinates right around when corn germinates. So when you see corn in the area, then you know your switchgrass isn't going to be too far behind, and it is small then. It's small red stem. So you throw that seed on the soil, and you can even throw it on 1 inch of snow, 2 inches of snow sometime during the middle of the winter too. I encourage you to use simazine, which is a pre-emergent. You spray simazine before spring green up, And then in most areas, green up takes place right around early April. So you're going to apply that simazine usually mid-March around here in southwest Wisconsin, even late March. You know, we had snow in through April last year or this year, so you just never know. But once those weeds emerge, the simazine will take care of part of it. You don't need a chemical applicator's license for that. They'll take care of a portion of the weeds, maybe 50%, 60%, 40%, whatever that number is. And so the end of April, I like to follow up with 2 quarts per acre of glyphosate and then 1 pint per acre of 2,4-D. So that really puts a hurt on your weeds. And switchgrass cannot stand any weed competition. In fact, this switchgrass next spring, we're going to spray simazine on before spring green up so we can take care of some of the broadleafs that are in here. But really important to use that chemical application process, because if you get the switchgrass in with chemicals and weed free, not only do you get great growth, but you get a nice pure stand that can last for 10 years or more. I've seen switchgrass fields that have been 10 years old, put in with chemicals, they're put in right, and they're still 80-90% switchgrass 10 years later. And then you can follow burning rotations. This is something that you can manage switchgrass plantings for decades to come if you want to. But it all starts with a healthy stand and putting it in with chemicals so that you can actually get a great stand of switchgrass going. So again, I'm frost seeding between October 1st and March 1st. And then I'm adding simazine before spring green up. Then I'm putting in Roundup and 2,4-D combination. That's usually at the end of April. And then you're going to expect the switchgrass to grow and germinate in June, weed free. The following spring, I would add another shot of simazine before spring green up, and then I just let it go. So we're going to do that on this coming spring. But other than that, we have a great stand of switchgrass. Portion of this started 2 years ago. You can kind of see the difference. It's 2 growing seasons, 3 growing seasons. This would just be a jungle right here for this little strip, and it's all screening off this food plot that we have right here for our access and to get in and out without spooking deer, which is the name of the game, and the switchgrass really helps.